we're gonna, can you, Sean, would you grab that
So let
microphone?
me lean over and talk about the Russians.
Please, and bring it down here, please.
If I get a second term, they can be more relaxed.
No, that's for you.
Yeah.
This is for us.
Okay.
No, that's for you. All right, you can see all their seats. Okay.
Equals 104,460. The motions are being drawn up today. I'll have them emailed to you for tomorrow. And we'll have it broken out as to where these are all the monies that we're taking from
Okay.
to fund Article 1 through Article 7.
It covers all of them?
Yep.
Oh, really? Nice job. Okay, well, let me
It
just start.
wasn't easy.
Imagine it wasn't. Anyway, we're opening the meeting of the Finance Committee. Today is Wednesday, March 28th. We have a quorum, so we're all set, and we have the Town Manager, John D'Agostino, here. Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so John just provided us with the funding sources for the special town meeting articles. To those interested, the special town meeting and annual town meeting will be on Monday, April 2nd, 7 o'clock in the evening, and then we'll be starting with the special town meeting. So there are seven articles. Special town meeting is to fund current budget expenses.
You transferred.
To transfer, you're right, to transfer from other locations to cover the expenditures identified in Articles 1 through 7 of the special town meeting. All right. Sorry?
No, I'm all
Okay,
set.
so that's good. So
You've
what
already voted
Yep,
in support of them, so that's
Yes, we
just the
have.
backup information.
Yes.
When we do the motions, they will
Transfer from-
have the monies transferring from and for whatever article, so all
Yeah.
of that will be covered tomorrow.
Okay, and you said those motions are being written up.
Written up by Lauren, she'll
Yeah.
have them tomorrow, I'll email them to you guys, so you'll have them, I'll print them up, they'll be part of the information that we provide in the packet.
Beautiful, awesome, thank you very much. I'm sure that was not easy, and appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to bring up right now? or-
Yeah,
okay.
there's going to be some changes that we're going to propose, that I'd like to propose. I spoke to the Article 16, page 44. Article 16 is supported by the Park and Rec Commission with the following changes.
And as I recall, we had approved it.
Yep.
So, but you can go ahead and tell us what.
They would like to, under Section 2 of Article 16, Section 2, they would like to, in the second sentence of Section 2, delete management and control. And in the last sentence, delete the word "and control."
Okay, let me get this straight. So, Section 2 is going to read, as of the effective date of this act, all property held in care, custody, management, and control of the Board of Park and Recreation Commission for the town playing fields, parks, public lawns, and landscape areas, and for the town pool, shall hereby be transferred to the care,
Custody of the Board of Selectmen for such purposes.
Okay, so we're striking "and control."
That's correct.
And earlier in the
Well-
second sentence, striking management and control? or
And
just-
yes, in the second, we're, because although as of the effective date, is all property held in care, custody of, it should be care, custody, management, and control of the Board of Park and Recreation Commissioners for the town playing fields, parks, public lawns, and landscape areas, and the town pool shall hereby be transferred to the care, custody, not control,
Nothing.
of the Board of Selectmen for such purposes.
Okay, so that's all we're striking from there. And that's it?
Well, they wanted management and control struck as well, but as you read it, we're not taking management
True.
and control. They have it now.
They will retain it.
No, see, it's going to be just, the town is just going to have care and custody.
Right. So does management and control still remain with the Board of Park and Recreation?
Yes,
Okay,
because they're the ones who are going to be assigning the fields, making sure that Group A can play on Field B and all the other stuff.
which is still the management and control of it.
Management and
It's just the
control will
care
still
and
remain with
custody
them.
of
Mr.
it.
care and custody is going to be transferred to the town.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, okay, so, we have a motion on the floor, we don't have to do it right now, we can get back to it, but we have a motion. Our motion was to,
Oh, I'm sorry.
was to recommend it, not a motion, we have a recommendation to approve Article 16. We could maybe take it up now or later, and recommend approval as amended, or we'll just make the motion, go ahead. We would have to reopen.
Yes, you would.
Yes.
Would you like to make that motion?
Second.
Cindy, how you doing? Cindy's taking it. So the motion is to reopen Article 16 and seconded by Barbara, was it? Okay.
No, Stephanie.
Stephanie, thank you. All right, so now it's reopened. We could take a motion, all those in favor of reopening the motion? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we could take a motion to recommend approval of Article 16 as amended.
Motion to recommend approval of Article 16 as amended.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion? Anybody have anything to say on it? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. So we've approved as amended.
Now, last night, Monday night, we met with the Board of Selectmen, and they had another round of Exhibit 1 in the back of your warrant, on page 11, which is the bylaw, the personnel bylaw.
Yep.
They have decided under 5.1 pay policy that it should read that the town manager shall fix the compensation of all town employees and officers striking appointed by the town manager, taking those words out completely,
Yep.
and having it read in consultation with the appropriate appointing authority and within the limits established by the appointment and applicable compensation plan and collective bargaining agreements and/or town meeting. So we're striking appointed by town manager out completely.
Yep. And I did watch that on television
Okay.
that night, too. Let me just throw out there, again, we had approved it, so we would need a motion to reopen or a motion to reconsider. This is Article 2. Does anyone want to?
Second.
Are we good?
John made the
Okay.
motion.
Did you motion, so, okay, and then seconded by,
Barbara.
okay. All those in favor of reopening Article 2? Okay, good, thank you.
And there was just one other FYI.
Can I just ask one
Okay.
quick question?
Sure.
What does that
We
change?
haven't
to-
motioned to approve it or anything.
Oh, I'm
so-
sorry.
Okay.
We had to open it first. Do you want a motion to approve Article 2 as amended?
Motion to approve Article 2 as amended.
Second.
Okay, now it's open for discussion. Go ahead.
You want to know what it does?
What does that change by striking appointed by the town manager?
It means that there are some positions in the town that are not appointed by the town manager. And to strike that altogether would allow the town manager to fix the compensation in conjunction or in consultation with the appropriate appointing authority for all positions. So what it does is, it strikes the appointment by the town manager, because the manager has that authority to fix the compensation. Now, it will allow the town manager, in consultation with the appropriate appointing authority, to fix all compensation for those who are appointed by the town manager and those who are not appointed by the town manager. It just kind of straightens that whole issue out.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions about that? Okay, all those in favor of accepting Article 2, or all those in favor of recommending approval of Article 2 as amended? Okay, excellent, all right. Thank you. I got that one too.
And we do have under, I think you've already, under page 36 of the warrant, 37, I think you added "or their designee" for the Board of Selectmen, or their designee for the
Yeah.
closing or the office hours. You have that you have made that already? that change?
Yeah, which one was that again? Which
On
one?
page 37?
As in 36.
At the very
It's at the
top.
top.
Oh, yes, we had put that at the end of, closed by order of Board of Selectmen or their designees. We'd already approved with that.
Okay,
change.
I think the board had also approved that as
Yeah,
well.
I think
The Board of Selectmen met on Monday. Now, one of the things, and of course, this is getting back to this ethics stuff. The Board of Selectmen are, as an FYI, are going to make an amendment on town meeting floor to 15J. If you go to Article 15J, page 31. The issue for the board was,
39.
the issue for the board was that you had struck out the last sentence of it. In addition, any notice required by laws, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Board of Selectmen shall cause the annual, no, where is it?
We struck up, if you're looking at page 40.
Page 40.
We're, on the very left side where it said section 17, put a period there, we struck out everything after that.
Right, okay. They're going to propose to keep everything after that, but they wanted to go back to the enforcement section,
Article 15A.
Article 15A, and indicate that 15A would exclude 15J from the fine process. They didn't want to have a fine process for, but they felt as though they wanted everybody, to file that. Exactly. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Yep, that's
so
all.
that you weren't surprised by it, or that somebody wasn't going to, try to make, because we're going to vote on your motion, and then there might be an amendment to the motion, the Board of Selectmen will make that.
Are they meeting on that ahead of town meeting?
They met on it Monday night.
Yeah, I saw that. on
Okay,
post.
and
I saw
that's-
that. And so then they were, so
But they're
I'm saying,
gonna meet
are
Monday.
they meeting Monday
Yes.
before the town meeting, or not?
Yes.
Okay, they're meeting
They're
before,
going to meet
the same way
before.
we meet before.
Right.
Okay.
And maybe the two boards can have a discussion about that, maybe?
We usually meet in different rooms, but
Yeah, we can come over, if they so desire. But I
if they
just,
come to a conclusion, because they didn't make any conclusion, I mean, they talked about it, but they didn't make any vote on it on Monday.
no, I didn't,
Yeah.
no, they didn't, but
Yeah.
if you look at 15J, 15D, A, I'm sorry. They would propose under 15A, enforcement through non-criminal disposition, that they would add an exception, in that first paragraph, probably prior to specific penalty for purposes of non-criminal disposition, to further indicate that 15J, or however it'll be identified as the Code of Ethics, would not apply to the penalty provision established in 15A.
Yeah, go ahead.
John, do you know what I appreciate the context of the spirit of the proposed language, but will that be available on Monday as to what they put in for that exception?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of envision the whole notion of, notwithstanding anything to the contrary, this particular article will not apply to the ethics and code of conduct or standard.
That's correct.
I just make sure I have that context in my head.
We will, that'll be part of the motion. Well, it can't be part of the motion, it's your motion. But I will have Lauren write out the exception so that you could see it beforehand. And it'll have to be given to the moderator before the motion is actually entered on town meeting floor.
Or whatever the, logistics of it is. I don't know if we make the motion.
You do make the motion?
Yeah, and then we have our recommendation, unless for sometime between now and town meeting we change that. But we would normally make our motion, whatever, and we would recommend, as we stand right now, to not approve it. Now, they could then, I don't know if they come up then afterward and say, we would like to propose an amendment to the motion.
That's correct, there will
That's, I
be
think, what
amendment
they
to
do.
the motion. But I think your last vote was to just, you oppose it first.
Oh, no, that's right, we approved
And
it
then you
with the
voted
amendment,
to
right.
just strike anything after.
Yeah, we're in approval of that article recommend approval of that article with the striking out of what we said from the section 17 on. And so what they're going to probably do is then come up and say, we would like to amend the motion as follows.
To include, to include
Actually,
the strike portion.
think about it, I think they're actually going to have to amend Article 15A or whatever it is.
First.
First, and then when we come up to this, they'll say pursuant to the change that we already made in Article A,
Yeah.
something along those lines. Go ahead.
Just a kind of a general, just outside discussion. I'm okay with 15A on the surface. I'm not certain I'm okay with any amendments to 15J as was voted last week, but even if 15A is in there, it still exempts the
Right.
enforcement fine.
Exactly.
So even if that goes through, it doesn't change, it doesn't undo it. So if we get to 15J, and whatever the discussion may be, if it goes through, great, then they already have the direction, but if it doesn't go through,
That's okay too.
it's okay, too. It doesn't have any really adverse effects.
Right.
It just takes the teeth out of it, it doesn't seem to make much sense, but that's okay.
Well, it doesn't, I think that when you look at 15J, if they decide that, if 15J stands as you've recommended, as you've amended, and 15A, then I think they can make it applicable on whether or not 15J passes in its entirety.
If that's what they decide to do. I think what we're trying to say is that though, if an amendment happens to 15A, that does not
It doesn't
automatically
gonna-
mean that we have to amend
No.
Article J. We could
No.
we could
You
keep
can
it
still-
as is,
yeah,
if-
absolutely.
If the committee so feels.
Right,
but-
absolutely.
All right,
And
so
and
what?
I
so-
think that's it.
Well, I was going to say, so hopefully we'll hear about that before we're on the floor of town meeting. But if we don't, I mean,
You will.
that will happen.
No, you'll hear from it Monday night.
The one thing that okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, no.
I would say, we do want to also take, we've also been asked to take up Article 5,
Oh.
Chapter 90 funds.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'll get a
yeah.
reserve fund transfer.
All right, I was going to say, because we're not taking up any changes to Article 15 right now, that's what we were just talking about. Article 5 is the Chapter 90 funds. We put it in our list of those that we're planning to not move forward with on Monday night. The reason for that was that we initially perceived it as a monetary article. It does talk about money, but let me get into Article 5 a second. It's Chapter 90 funds. It basically allows the town to accept.
Page 22.
Thank you very much. I'm all over the place. Let me just read it to you. So it's not an expenditure article, if you will. It's not taking money out of the budget. Article 5 says, to see if the town will vote to authorize the town to accept a sum of money equal to the state's annual release of funds as the state's share of the cost of work under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Highway Improvement Funds, or take any other action relative thereto. We haven't opened it, we haven't asked it to be reconsidered yet. I'm just saying that we got an email, I got an email, John and I got an email, or John sent it to me, where where Ken and Connell had, the superintendent of highway, has asked whether we would reconsider that. He would hate for us not to move forward with that. Again, it's not an expenditure item, and then potentially jeopardize some road program work because we hadn't voted to accept the Chapter 90 funds.
Motion to, it's not really reconsider, is it? Because motion
We voted
our motion-
not to.
Our recommendation was to push it off.
So motion to reconsider Article 5.
I don't think we actually took the original, I don't think we took, you didn't even vote on it, right?
We recommended to push it off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we recommended to push it off, so I think we do have to, yeah, so we're reconsidering Article 5. Anyone second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 5? Okay, that's unanimous, thank you.
Motion to approve Article 5.
I'll second that.
Second, discussion?
Yes, so to point of clarification, if we did absolutely nothing, I don't see the peril that this would cause at least for next fiscal year. And I guess the challenge is going to be is unless we're not going to settle the business for the town until next fiscal year, it really wouldn't have been that much of a headache. I agree with the whole purpose. Why would you put off accepting money?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make any sense, but I don't see the peril. If there was any, I still want to say yes to it, but it's just by taking no action until such time as we actually get the cash in line, it wouldn't have done anything different. We didn't miss the boat. This doesn't compromise funds for FY12. This is for FY13 stuff.
Yeah.
This is our annual town meeting, right? So this is not for.
No, this is part of the annual town meeting.
Right, so
Kenan all he said, and it was just a request, and it said, I don't want to risk any delays in our road program.
Here's what he's afraid of, if I can just offer some clarification. To confuse matters even more, usually what happens is Chapter 90 is a bond authorization from the state government. So they go out and they bond for $300 million for road improvements, and each town gets a certain percentage of that road improvement money. What they have done over the last 3 years is release that money earlier, so allowing you to spend 13 money earlier than July 1st. That, he just wants to make sure that he has that flexibility, that's all.
Thank you for that. Okay, all those in favor of approval of Article 5? Yep, okay, that's everybody. Okay, thank you, so we've done that too. So that was Article 5, Article 2, Article 16. Article 15 we'll hear more about on Monday. I think those were all the ones that I thought that we had to
That's
touch
right.
base on as well.
Thrown at me on the 28th of the month, I received a request for a reserve fund transfer. Now, this is going to require a lot of discussion, because I know we don't have the money, but we have to pay the bill. We have a $16,000 printing bill that has to be paid. We approved in the reserve fund $8,000 for elections.
Yes.
So we have a $12,000 balance.
Right, so we don't even have 16.
We don't have enough.
Right.
They're looking, I will pass out the
Can we pay
request.
some of it and put some of it off?
We could, that's, would be my recommendation, but I don't know if
Here's
the
some,
board is
yeah.
comfortable. We don't have to take this up tonight.
Yeah.
I just want you to have it so that you
Okay.
can kind of jawbone
I know,
over it.
we usually, let me start, we usually have like 4 copies, which I'll actually need them back. So it's just so you guys can look at them.
Oh, okay.
We have to submit 4 copies, I think one goes to the minutes, something along those lines.
That's right.
But, so I'm just gonna need them back, so you can, if you want to explain, so, go ahead.
This is the total amount, not only of the mailing, but of the
So it's
the actual printing of the warrant. And on the enclosed pages, you have a breakdown of how we arrived at where we are. Now, we have spent some of that money because we obviously had a fall town meeting. We are now having a spring town meeting and the actual annual in the FY12 budget. So each time you have a town meeting, you have to mail out a warrant, and some of them are not expensive, some of them are. This one here happened to cost us $16,000, $53.33 a vote, at 300 if they show up at town meeting. So we have this outstanding bill. We know we can't pay it all. I don't know what else may be coming up. I asked the departments to kind of free up some money for me. None of them had any money that they could spare, and some were running deficits. So the budgets are very tight. So in the context of that, we can probably sit on this until just after town meeting, and get a better feel for where the departments are. But we're not going to be able to pay this whole entire bill.
Is it 18,000, the full 18,000, John, or 16,000 reserve fund transfer, and then you think you can come up with 2,200 somewhere else?
Well,
The request is for 18,220.
right.
I didn't know if you were just rounding when you said 16, about 16,000.
Well, I'm saying that
Some of the anticipated expense for the special town for May, too.
Right. So let's, this is where we stand with this. And, probably some of it can be attributed to, chronic underfunding. But also, I don't think any of us anticipated a $16,000 warrant bill. And by statute, by charter, we have to get it out. And it just happened that we have a huge amount of changes in bylaws, and that creates pages, and that creates an additional amount for. I don't think we've ever encountered a $16,000 bill for town meeting for any purpose prior to this one. And we went to a local business in town, who happens to be a taxpayer, so hopefully he has our best interests in mind.
Barbara?
Just, say we were to put it off, what kind of penalties or interest or anything like that, do you think?
I don't think they would be able to incur interest on us. If we decide to put it off, I think he's going to be looking for some payment up front. I could talk to him between now and Monday night and see what he thinks. We can put off, I'm sure he's going to want the whole amount. We're not going to be able to afford to, although we may be able to transfer it, any balance, doing the interdepartment transfers that we do at the end of the year to balance the budget.
Right.
We may be able to do that. I don't think we're going to be able to transfer 16 or 18,000 all up front.
I said, I don't think, I know we don't have 18,000
No,
in our.
no, God, no,
like
I know, we have 12.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Again, kind of general observation, I appreciate the plight that we find ourselves in, especially in the light of looking for that, I think $34,000 for stuff within the special. But I suppose if we don't use the reserve fund, the remaining balance, it gets put into free cash to thereafter get certified that you are for later use.
Yep.
So the intent and purpose, from my understanding in the brief period that I've been here on this committee, was, emergency is emergency, and what's the reserve? I find no hardship as long as you can manage the vendor in putting this off, and then instead of being penny wise, pound foolish, as we look towards the middle of June, whatever the period is, is arbitrarily whatever it may be, I'd feel more comfortable taking a risk to deplete the reserve fund.
Yes.
As we get closer towards the end of the fiscal year, and then we'll able to speed up.
Yeah.
Because again, if not, all we're gonna do is tie up the cash that won't be able to be used.
For anything else.
It'll come off the cherry sheet as an unpaid bill, and then right in the special in the fall.
This one here? Well, if we decide that we're not going to be able to put it off because we incurred the expense, these are mailed out, we didn't pay the bill up front, we obviously pay when we get, I can check with council as to what our obligations are with respect to this. If we don't have the money, we don't have the money. We never expected 16,000 as a bill to begin with. So I think we can pay some of it and transfer the rest of it at the end of the fiscal year so that it doesn't, the vendor doesn't have to wait until next fall.
But my point is that we have the cash, I think, so you have a question too.
You want to go? I don't know if this even pertains, because I'm so busy doing this that I'm kind of half listening, but we have special town meeting funding that you worked diligently to get all the funding for that. I was going to propose, and it's probably past the point now, going back to the tricentennial issue, because that was one thing that we talked about to you with special town meeting issues, and we never once asked, all the other stuff on special town meeting, we asked you if we could afford that, and this was one that we didn't ask. And if we funded part of that up to the point that you had committed to, which was $37,500, instead of the full amount that they want, they would still get the amount that you initially committed, saving $14,000 that we could possibly use to pay some of this. Would that work?
Okay. The only issue with that scenario is that there's no appropriation for it. I mean, we're over appropriated in the line item. If we back off, let's say we're paying, what I hear you saying is that we take the number of 36,941 and back off 14,000 from that.
Right, because...
That's what you're saying.
Right, because you initially committed the 15, the 20,000 for the police, and the 2,500 for fire. And we've given the 15 at this fall town meeting. So if out of that article, we pay the police and the fire, which you...
It's 22,500.
22,500, and take the difference between what's in the article and that 22,500, that would give us about $14,000 toward this. And we could take the rest, the little bit that's left maybe from reserves.
But in order for me to pay anything beyond what we have initially appropriated, I have to have another appropriation for the balance. So if we amend this down,
Okay.
the special within the annual, we can probably do what you're asking, if I think if the committee agrees, the tricentennial, and we reduce the 14, we're going to then need to have an appropriation for the 14 to pay the balance of this bill. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Kind of. Well,
Yeah.
I do understand all those are raising the appropriate rate. So Article 4 is the one you're referring to, Cindy, I believe, when the special, that just lists as raising the appropriate. Yeah, that's the total sum of the 36,941.92.
Well, we'd actually be transferring, because that's what we're doing in Article 4. So we would be transferring the difference here, the 14,000, to pay this bill. And the balance would come from
From the reserve.
the reserve. Is that what you're thinking? I think we can do that. Yeah, I think we can, but we're going to
Yeah.
have to, we are going to have an article, another special,
Yeah, in May.
again, in May. So why not tack this onto that special in May and do it that way?
So if we.
If that's what you want to do.
That's, I think we just, it's basically take this 36, amend it on town floor to something less, like 22.5, whatever it was. If that gets approved at 22.5, it leaves 14,000 out of this money that you've raised. We couldn't appropriate it that night.
No.
But it's sort of on hold, if you will.
It's out there.
Until we go into a special town meeting in May. If we put this as a warrant article.
At the special, we
At
can
special
still
to pay
spend it.
that, Can we, is there, because it would be a current,
Yeah.
it's still a current year bill.
That's
So
right. It doesn't
maybe-
require nothing but a majority vote.
And like I said, the only reason I thought it that way is because, like I said, we're still doing the tricentennial, what you had committed to at the very beginning. So they're not being really cut back anything other than, the
The
extra that
additional
they
money.
put in. They're still getting a piece from the town. We're still covering a bill that we have to pay.
I would say that before we do that, obviously, we would want to have a discussion with the tricentennial so that they understand that this is what we're thinking of doing. And I talked to Frank today from Florida. He's coming back. I told him that the article was on because obviously we're just discussing this now. So I don't mind calling him, but I don't want to give him a stroke or anything.
Definitely should be a conversation.
There has to be a conversation.
Yeah, there has to be a conversation with them at least to make them understand that we are still supportive of that, of the 300 celebration, as we made clear in our prior motions and recommendations. But if they can, we would like to amend, maybe, this is the suggestion, is that we would like to amend that and reduce it by 14,000 because we have another outstanding bill, or for whatever the reason. If you want to take that and talk to them, we don't, I don't know that we have to take it up now. We could take it up Monday night once you talk to them.
Okay, so if we're paying for all the town-related stuff, and we got 36,941.92, and we're going to pay 23.
But that 1,900 was kind of like a last-minute throw-in.
Well, no, that's
It's
for
part of detail.
for barricade, to put up the barricades.
But that was just thrown in on this particular one. That was never addressed at any of the other.
No, and probably the reason for that could have been the fact that we overlooked the role that the highway plays.
Yeah, because they do go out and put up all the roadblock signs. So it was sort of an oversight when we talked about police and fire details. We never thought about.
So it would be $13,092
Is that-
would be the difference that we could pull from the article if we paid for 20,000 for the police detail, 2,500 for fire detail, and 1941.92 for the highway. So it'd be 13,000 that we would have in limbo, so to speak, and we would need to pay, what is it, 18, What is the number that we need to come up with?
18,220 and 10 cents. $18,220, 10 cents.
Why isn't it $12.50?
It is, it's $12.50.
Okay.
When you just do it all the way, it's only the first one, $12,500.
That's what I thought.
If you keep the police detail, the fire detail, and the highway,
Then
then the
it's-
remaining amount is $12,500.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries. It's
Close.
Yeah, our abacus is out right now.
Yeah, okay. So then, that's what we're pulling versus the 13.
John,
Yeah.
did you want to have a conversation with Frank, or did you want to talk to Mr. Bailey?
I'll have a conversation with whoever you want me
He's at the
to.
door.
He's at the door?
Jack Bailey's at the door, if you want to have an offline conversation with him.
Okay, he's talking to his
That's-
relative.
That's up to you. I just saw that he was there. And if you want to talk to Frank, again, we can address this on Monday, but if it's something you want us to talk about right now, we haven't opened or revisited Article 4 at all yet, but.
Okay, and you know, we don't need to do this tonight, so why don't we
All right.
hold off on it? But I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Okay, I'll take those back, you guys. Yep. Yes, John?
Isn't the special on Monday?
The special is on Monday, so,
Any opportunity to entertain this Article 4 change in the special?
is tonight or Monday?
I just wondered.
Yeah, so though we don't have to do this tonight, we have to do this either tonight or Monday. Though we don't have to do the funding, the request for
The
funding.
transfer, right.
If we're going to figure out amending Article 4, we would need to do that either tonight or at the last minute on Monday. So,
Can I ask one more?
Certainly.
question?
Go ahead.
Two more questions of John, for money. The Council on Aging money that's coming in, 3,600.
That's correct.
Okay, I believe is probably for one of those positions.
it was.
It is.
Okay, now if we gave them $22,000 at the special town meeting for 4 employees, shouldn't there, I thought they were all being paid the same number of hours at the same rate of pay. Shouldn't there be about $5,500 instead of $3,600?
I can check that.
Okay, and also the van transportation funds.
I haven't had a chance to.
That could be,
Yeah,
if that was not a van transportation gift account, that could be money that maybe is coming to the general fund that we could be using too, so that might be a few $1,000s more here or there that might help out.
and you think it's somewhere around 5,400, was it?
I thought, if we gave them 22,000 at town meeting, and it was for 4 employees, so I believe it was for 4, so if we divided it out, it's about $5,500.
It's like 4 part-time employees.
Right, I thought they
Or did
were
we
all
cut
like
down to
20 hours
3?
at a certain amount of money apiece, but maybe some were paying more, some were less, I'm not sure, but it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I'll find out what's in that line item.
And what was the other thing you said, transportation?
The van
Yeah,
money.
the transportation money.
Transportation money.
Okay. So there's some ideas there about looking at the COA, what do they call that?
Citizens for
CFC?
citizens.
Citizens for Citizens, yeah. So there's that, there's transportation, and then the potential to amend Article 4. to try
So
to
if we do it,
find
if we
funds.
amend it by 12.5, it gives us a 57,
The difference between.
20, yeah, 12,500 would be available, and we need 57,2018 from the reserve fund.
Which we have in there.
Yeah, oh yeah, that you have.
And then if there's some flexibility in the COA thing, might even be able
Less.
to cover some already.
Yeah, we do some more hunting.
All right, well,
Okay.
those are some good ideas. Thank you, Ron, thank you, Cindy. So anything else on this one? No? Okay. Yes, yes? You waited till I looked away.
Not from, this is just general discussion, and I think there's a lot of good ideas and suggestions, and I think that clearly, no one really is going to anticipate the exorbitant costs of such a sizable warrant,
Yeah.
and that's one of those unavoidable pieces. I think there was a statement earlier that democracy rather is expensive. Forgetting all that, up to still, I'm personally, I'm a simple-minded man, so I'm lost as to what we're doing with the special town meeting Article 4, given that we're going to vote on that as a town on Monday. If indeed we explore that option of 12,500 from there, then I would imagine that our group needs to reconsider it and then make a motion for, if we so choose to do so, someone needs to offer a motion for amendments to it. And that needs to be either considered now or Monday. I would be
Yeah.
reticent to do it on Monday.
Yeah.
This is discussion with the requisite folks, so there's no surprises and kablami's, if you will. It just seems like a big backdoor kind of an issue. And I wouldn't want
Yeah,
to-
no, I'll talk to him.
Do you want to go talk to him?
Yeah.
Now?
Now?
It's up
I
to
can have him come in.
He said he'd come in if he wants,
Okay, do you want,
if you want.
yeah, we can do it right now on
Yeah.
camera if you could, all right. And I'd
I would
rather
prefer-
move forward with it now, so that it's one less thing you gotta deal with on Thursday and Friday and then Monday. You okay with that?
Yeah, well, I'm fine with whatever you want to do.
Right, I had a question while we're waiting.
Yeah, go ahead.
John, was the printing vendor aware that there was the potential of it to be in limbo? Did he know going into it, just,
We didn't know what the number was. We gave him what usually happens is that we get an estimate,
yeah,
and the vendor, the same vendor who's doing our town report, we decided to go to him. We had a different vendor altogether doing the town, and we figured we can get a better economy of scale by giving them all of the work, and that's what we really have done. And we had no idea, he had no idea, until it was put together and weighed as to what that cost would be. He figured around, 10, 12,000. But I think some of that also includes the mailing costs.
Yeah, it does.
1,000 something.
And of the 18, it's also an anticipated expense on the special town meeting that we talked about that's gonna have to happen in May, too. So that's another 3,000. That's part of the 18. So, hello.
Hi.
So, does that answer your question?
We have good news and we have bad news.
That's okay.
What do you want to hear first?
Doesn't make any difference. I'm all right.
We're going to have a parade.
Oh, thank you.
The town has been faced recently with a bill of $18,000. 16 of the 18 is to mail out the warrant. And we have committed and found $104,000, 460.87 cents to fund everything in Articles 1 through 7 in the special, which includes your article for $36,941.92. We were wondering, and before we did anything, we were wondering if we could entertain with you and the committee. We wouldn't take any action until you spoke with the committee, and the committee was good with this. That if we could fund everything except the $12,500, which would mean that we would fund the police details, the fire details, and the highway, out of this warrant number, reserving $12,500 to help pay for the $18,000 warrant bill that we just got.
So our total figure would be what? In the warrant?
In the warrant?
It would be,
Mine's $12.50 on that.
12,500.
Come on, Stephanie, you get the
Yeah. Okay.
The articles is for 36,941.92. We would be removing 12,500.
24,441.92, I think.
4192. And now we've also funded 15,000 prior, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so our total funding would be,
4192. 30, because I already did something. 39,
yep, 39,
441.
almost 40,000.
That would be in total.
So the warrant's going to be voted upon for the 24,000, except.
If you-
That's what our thought is.
That's what our thought is, but we don't know what you think.
I think it's a doable thing. I've
You-
discussed it with the committee already and have said that there's a possibility that the finance committee would come forward to us asking for us to take a reduction on the warrant of $36,000. And the reason why we believe that we can handle that reduction is the fact that our next fundraiser is the Mayor for the Day race, which is $1 a vote. We are hoping that that will be a big boom for us, as well as pushing the movement of the parade and everything else. We have just discussed some of the guidelines, because naturally this is the first time it's ever been done in Abington. We're going by some of the guidelines of Situate, but we're not Situate, we're Abington. So in answer to a lot of questions, the mayor's race is open up to any age. Anybody can vote. It's $1 a vote, though, and the top vote getter will be the mayor of the day.
What does he get for being the mayor?
He can,
Or she?
he or she can, will be right up in front of the parade, and don't ask me about the horses just yet.
Are the horses going to be in front of him?
I'm not going there. So anyways, I thought, because I had talked with Maureen about this before, and said there could be a chance that something could happen, and we believe truthfully that we can handle it, because we're not done with fundraising in general. We will be fundraising probably right up until the end of the celebrations anyways. We have a road race coming up in May with the police department. We will be doing a half marathon, to my knowledge, in June. I've had people call me even today to say they are willing to help sponsor things in the parade. This is a parade that we would not be asking the participants to donate like they do for the St. Patrick's Day parade. But I had one business in town approach me today and talk to me. So I don't see a reason for us not to stand with you on your decision to offer us less. I believe that in good faith we should be able to do it, and that we don't have a fear. And this was pre-discussed minutes beforehand.
Oh, good.
When I came in here, so I can go back and tell them what the figure will approximately be.
It would be 24,441.92.
Okay. You want to write that check now?
How about if I give you this one? This is 36.
So
Jack,
we're
that's-
good.
How about if we did
That's
something else
amazing.
with two winners of the selectmen's race, whatever the vote totals are, they would also pledge $1 based on how many votes they get.
I'm expecting big bucks from the town hall.
Okay,
Wow, so that was,
thank you.
thank you very much.
That was
Thank
easy.
you.
Thank you.
We haven't even
Yeah.
moved
So
on
that
yet, we
was-
just wanted to
there
hear,
was no bad news.
No, but we didn't want to do it.
But we hadn't made a decision. We
without talking.
wanted to
haven't
have the-
dis- We haven't,
we haven't opened it, we haven't opened it for reconsideration, we wanted to talk to you
No,
about it,
when-
didn't want any surprises.
When Mike just gave me an explanation, I can well understand. We look very good by doing this as well.
And you've been very successful, and the
Yeah.
things you're running are awesome.
Yep, so we're okay, and you know, we're not gun shy about trying to raise money, so we'll do all right, and things will happen, and if we fall a little bit less, then we'll do a car wash.
Because you're very good at car washes and
Don't shut off
parades.
the water.
no, we won't shut off the water, but we can probably do a, what is it? Throw the
Dunk
ball and try to
tank.
dunk tank?
Oh,
Yeah.
don't
We
think
can, I'll
would
be
be
part of
lots
the
of
dunk
money.
tank if you want. You know, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people,
I'll buy
a lot of people lined up for that.
There's a field day idea, dunk a selectman.
Yeah.
Is that all right then?
It's good.
Oh, that's perfect, thank
Okay,
you.
well, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you very much, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Mr.
very,
So
very
I hope
much.
that answers your question as well.
All right, fabulous. It's here for you, thank you.
Is he running for mayor?
He's 12. You've been up for Boy
Yeah,
Scouts.
yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. That's good. He'll go out there raising some money. He might be the #1 vote getter.
Reconsider
Set.
Article 4 of the special town meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of what we're just doing?
Reconsideration of
Reconsidering
Article 4.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, Article 4 of the special town meeting. Do you want to make another motion?
I'd like to make another motion to approve Article 4 in the special town meeting with the following amendment, that the sum of the transfer raise or appropriated will be $24,441.92, broken out as follows, just with the fireworks display and parade, have that number reduced to 0.
Got it. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, excellent. Thank you
Great.
very much, guys. So that's one thing off the table, and thank you very much to the 300th Anniversary Committee.
They're a good group of folks, and they do a great job.
All right, so now, what that puts us in, that takes your number here and
And
gives
I'm
you
going to give,
back.
right, and I give you those, because what
Okay,
we're going to need to do then is appropriate money. Before you release that,
Yeah,
we'll have this special probably in April. We have to discuss,
Well, that would
maybe
be
not
May, I
tonight,
think
yeah,
probably
May.
May.
Yeah, in May, we're going to have a meeting in May versus the end of April.
where what we're anticipating is that 14,441.92, which we just saved from Article 4, will be used to offset this. And whatever else there might be when we come to the May, we're thinking it's the May special town
Yeah,
meeting.
and I think the reason why May, and we talked a little
Yeah,
bit
we
about
did.
this, was if we were doing April 24th, I
Yeah,
think was
there's
what
not
the
enough.
board suggested, you have to have those,
We have to have recommendations 14 days
Recommendations, 14 days.
before the town meeting. We need our budget recommendations 14 days before, and I think we need our recommendation on the FEMA special town meeting bylaw 10 days before that. So we're basically here. It would be like, no time.
No time.
There would be no time. I had sent John we had emailed back and forth about when we could do that kind of thing. We were kicking around the idea of having that special town meeting on May 14th, which if you back into all the dates, kind of back up the calendar, it would mean that the Finance Committee, if we were going to run that special town meeting and the rest of the annual town meeting on May 14th, by May 3rd, we would have to have our recommendations for the FEMA issue. And then April 27th or 30th, we would have to have our recommendations posted for the money articles. So that's like a month from today-ish. And if you back up that even more, we would need at least, we'd have to have a budget, we'd need at least 2 weeks to sort of discuss the budget and come out with recommendations. There's a lot of budget articles. So I think the best that we could, the earliest we could possibly do would be like May 14th, and that's presuming that we could get a budget somewhere around April 13th or so, which would give us 2 weeks before the 28th. to make our recommendations.
and
Which
that
is
might,
basically 2 weeks from now. We need
Right.
a budget in 2
that
weeks.
may not happen.
And that may, so that's the earliest we
We're
can do.
meeting
That's-
tomorrow
yeah.
with the schools to get,
Okay.
an understanding as to what they need and what, the town needs, and then we're going to go from there.
Well, if again, 2 weeks from now to have a budget and 2 weeks from now to have, that would be for a May 14th meeting. If we can't do that, then that just pushes it out to like the week after May 14th, or then we're into Memorial Day, so.
Yeah,
So just to give you a basis of where what we would have to do between now and 2 weeks from now in order to have a May 15th
yeah.
type of
The
thing.
miracles could happen. I set up a meeting with the union for Patriots Day. They never work on a
Miracles
vacation.
can happen.
Yeah, well,
All right,
Had
so
to
we
cancel it.
talked briefly about, so that's good, we talked briefly about this, we amended Article 4. Thank you very much for all your collaboration, great idea, Cindy. Cindy's still gonna kind of figure out.
I think you should be
everything.
doing the minutes all the time. That was the best idea you came up with since you've been taking minutes.
Just loving this one.
Loving it. All right, is there anything else that we need John for here tonight?
I wouldn't be
We've covered all
shy.
the things that I thought we had to cover, including the timing of things and the articles. Beyond that, we just have a couple things to do. Nothing particularly much. I would say the one thing that I had on my agenda to talk about is I got an email, I don't know if you guys got it, from Teresa Sullivan, the principal of the high school. Did you guys see that? I'll tell you what it says. It came out Tuesday, the 27th at 9:15 in the morning. I think I got it because I'm on the high school email address. But pleased to report that at their January meeting, how do we say this, NEASC Commission on Public Secondary Schools removed Abington High School from warning status for the accreditation standard of community resources for learning.
Good
In the
work.
letter she received dated March 23rd, the commission made at least 20 acknowledgements or commendations for our work and progress in meeting the standard. This work was reported to the commission in a 2-year progress report submitted September 30th, 2011. This means that Abington High School returns to fully accredited status from the 2009 decennial report. I would like to recognize the relentless work of co-chairs Ms. Doherty and Ms. McHugh, steering committee members Ms. Ferrioli and Assistant Principal Sullivan, as well as all the department heads, directors, and faculty committee leaders who forged ahead tackling each recommendation and proposing thoughtful, feasible solutions. Thank you to the entire school community for all their support throughout this challenging process. We can be proud of our persistent efforts to sustain excellent programs and high standards that merit New England Association of Schools and Colleges accreditation. Teresa Sullivan. Principal.
Great.
You can have that.
That's that's
I'll forward you
good.
a soft copy of it.
Oh, that's
Sean.
very nice.
Silly question?
Yes.
What exactly did they do?
What did they do?
I mean, I understand.
We were on warning and they removed,
No, no,
okay, sorry.
What did they do?
Oh, you'd
So
have
I'll
to-
write this.
Oh,
down.
what did we do to gain that back?
Right, so I'll.
Well, they had to put, go ahead.
My bottom line first. So
Yes.
I'm thinking about, with regards to the current issues we have with our budget.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, what is it that we did that potentially is going to be undone?
Good point.
So that's why I'm asking the question of what exactly did we do? And then from the school side of the world, I wonder if they were to
Maybe you
identify
can-
the costs associated with it.
Maybe we can ask that.
We can talk about that tomorrow with the superintendent, because I'm sure we're going to be very mindful of that. We're not going
Mhm.
to certainly want to do something that takes away from that. But I will tell you that we all agree that during this period of time, since this first special that I was involved with to today, we have earmarked a little over $400,000 additional money to the schools. So
So,
I think, and a lot of that initial first dole of money that we gave them was to put people in place so that we could get to this status. And they were positions that were funded at the high school level that resulted in this letter. So yes, we'll find that out.
we don't want to undo anything
No,
that we've
good.
done. And I know some of it was having department heads. They got rid of department heads, they put them back.
Mhm.
Some of it was reducing
The fee.
the sports fees.
The sports fee.
And they've done that, and so
And some of it
take
was
that
foreign
down.
language, a better offering of foreign language programs
Right.
that required a teacher. And it
Like-
wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with class size, it had everything to do with programmatics and what we were offering and what we should have been offering that we didn't offer, that was cut back when we went into our deep cutting mode.
Well, most assuredly, I guess the reason for that very same table was just to ensure that that is a presumptively relevant document. And as we face this particular budget cycle, is to consider, we just came out, we just got this, where are we going next?
And this is what actually ends up increasing our property values in town when you've got an accredited high school that people want to come to, where they're offering programmatics that are necessary and appropriate for the kids, that prepare them for college, that get them into college, and ultimately onto their careers.
Thanks, good idea. But that's obviously very timely and relevant when you go speak with them, so.
At least one thing is paying off, for all the hard work we do.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome,
Okay.
thanks. Anybody want to keep John any longer for any reason?
All right.
All right, well, thank you. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
everything. All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see. It's 8 o'clock. We've talked about budget timeline, which we'll have to revise. I'm not shutting this down, I just wanted to make sure I said this out there. Our next meeting is Monday. It's the meeting before the town meeting. We've got it, I have to post it, but it's scheduled for 6 o'clock. Do I have to post it? I think the town meeting is,
Yes.
yeah, I gotta post the 6 o'clock one. So if we can, sometimes we try to meet only at 6:30, but I think 6 o'clock is important because we're gonna have to be going through all the motions, the recommendations, if there's any changes, so try your best to be there at 6 o'clock. We will not be here, we'll be in the high school. So usually there's a room, it's on the first floor, you come in and they'll have a room set aside for us.
And there's usually changes.
And there's
They
usually
usually come
changes.
into us at 6 o'clock or 6:15 with,
Yes.
we need to change this, or we need to change that, or this is changing. So if we have other stuff that we need to take care of.
At the very, very least, the motions for the special town meeting, this is what's called basically the funding sources. So in the motion, they'll put in the funding source, where the money's transferring from and to. So don't be surprised when you see those kinds of changes. And then for the annual town meeting, again, there'll be motions there too, plus all the amendments that we've just done and the recommendations that we just changed here. Again, we're still going to be not taking action on the budget and the other monetary articles. So just be prepared for the fact that there are definitely changes that come about. Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
I'm just wondering, so it sounds like we're not going to make it to a May 14th meeting date. Is there, kind of, what's our deadline with FEMA? Do you know?
I really don't know. I don't know if I have that. I know, I may have the email here. Hold on, I have a bunch of them.
Like, how much wiggle room do we have?
Not a whole lot, I don't think, but it has to, hold on, let me see if I have it. I don't know that I do. Hold on a second, one quick second. Liz. I don't think I
it was
have
from
it.
Dory, wait a minute.
I have the Dory emails here too, but,
I think it was from her.
she was
Talking about the
suggesting
FEMA.
April 23rd. And then, here it is. We are required to adopt these regulations prior to July 17th.
Okay.
We have to have the meeting before then anyway, so we're already into
Right.
we're already into the FY13. What that would mean is that we would have to have a special town, we would have to have the continuation of the annual town meeting before June 30th, and then have yet another one, a special town meeting, which we don't want to do. We want to combine them. So July 17th is the date upon which adoption of these regulations has to happen prior to July 17th. For those, when we keep talking about what it is, it's a floodplain, National Floodplain Insurance Program. Let me just read, however, the date no longer valid is we have been informed by FEMA that we are required to hold a special town meeting for the purpose of adopting floodplain management regulations that meet the standards of the National Flood Insurance Program. We are required to adopt these regulations prior to July 17th, 2012. We cannot wait for the fall town meeting. It makes sense to hold this special town meeting after the adjourned annual town meeting. That's what you're
So we get a little bit of room as far as,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be like, you know.
If it can't be May 14th, then you get into like the next week of May, and then you're into the week of Memorial Day. But you still have, we've done annual town meetings
In June, right.
So we still have some time. It's just then you start getting into, if kids start getting out of school at the end of June,
School's
middle of
still
June.
in though, like,
Till the 14th, I
it's feasible to.
It is. We've got like another month after that. If we can't do May 14th, we've got about another month that we could do. So, having said that, those are the things I wanted to make sure that we touch base on. Anything else you guys want to bring up tonight? What do you got?
Why do we have to do the floodplain?
Why do we have to do it? I read you everything I know.
Let me ask the question. I know that right now, out of every municipality in the entire country, only 20,000 have actually voluntarily voted to adopt them. So what's the benefit to the town for us to have to go through this pain and strife?
Does it have to do with insurance?
Informed by FEMA that we are required to hold a staff meeting for the purposes of adopting floodplain management regulations that meet the standards of National Flood Insurance Program. FEMA told it. I honestly don't know any more than that.
Do the other towns maybe meet the requirement?
When you buy floodplain insurance, right, so you can either buy it privately, you can buy it through, you can buy it as a FEMA sponsored piece. That's the whole national insurance program I'm referring to. And you all hear about issues of like the 100-year floodplain, all this stuff that we contend with. I'm just curious what the benefit to the community is to go through the haste. If there's a benefit to us as homeowners, because we all have water that potentially can creep up somewhere, and maybe high water tables. I'm not trying to be a sales lord, I'm just curious what the benefit is, why the rush? Because FEMA actually doesn't tell you have to do it per se, unless there's a benefit to you. So what's the benefit to the community for us rushing through and getting those regulations passed? And then, have we seen the regulations?
I have not, but I think that is an excellent thing that we should probably send back. I know there has to be a public hearing too. That's another thing I know. It appears, blah, 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 the planning board would have to hold a public hearing on this zoning change. So just throwing that to you too. Obviously, I don't have all the information here, unfortunately. I don't know that I've ever, but I may have an email about it, but I don't have it with me. So maybe I didn't. So let's make sure that we ask that question too, if we can get some more. Obviously, we need to get some more details on what the floodplain regulations are, why we are beholden to having to do them. What's the benefit?
If it's a voluntary program, why are we in such a rush to get it done?
Okay. I have some emails from Liz Smith, we could probably go back to her on that. Maybe we could have her come in and speak to us
After the
about
budget.
it. After Monday, probably not Monday. So, all right, so far so good there. Thank you, Sean, that's excellent. I'm sure if I can make a note to contact Liz on that. All right, is there anything else anybody feels that we need to go over prior to meeting on Monday? No. I can tell you, again, I'll be getting motions, I'll forward them out to you if it makes sense to do so. I'll also be working on what you guys want me to say when usually what happens when they introduce us, they usually introduce you guys as committee members, and if there's anything particular, usually just like a 2 or 3 minute introduction of what we've been doing over the last few months. So please forward me anything that you want me to include.
You'll say anything that we forward you?
No. I will edit and choose to ignore
All right.
things that I don't want to say.
I've got nothing.
I will say my history is that I rarely have embarrassed us. I do not intend to embarrass us. That is never my intention, though I will usually forget someone's name. I just don't know who this year. Chad.
New guy.
New guy. All right, but please forward me anything that, even if you think it's, Maureen will definitely remember, just forward it to me and I'll include it, and I will absolutely be working on that this weekend. So, nothing less than 3-syllable words. Yes, Mr. Dion?
So the annual town meeting will be continued sometime after the election, May or June?
That's correct.
Game plan?
Yeah, that is the plan. We don't feel that we can move, we know, we've already recommended that we can't move forward with the budgetary items in the annual town meeting, so it will be sometime after the election.
So is that just because revenue sources are still up in the year?
Part of it, yeah, part of it is that's one of the reasons that when we were talking about this a week or so ago, a lot of it has to do with Chapter 70 funding, that type of thing. From what I understand, the governor's budget is the only thing that's even out there now, and the committee hasn't even met where they do a committee between the House and the Senate. So we really haven't heard much at all. So there's that, and as such, we're still in a situation where we have proposed budgets from the department heads, and they're not scaled down yet. So.
And we have a deficit.
And based upon the proposed budget and the anticipated revenue that we have, we're in a deficit situation.
Is the deficit still around 2 million?
I haven't seen any changes to it yet, but John, like he said, he's meeting with the schools tomorrow, and the department heads, he's got to ask all of them to take a harder look at their budgets. I know from our perspective, we want this group to also look at the budgets and make a list or send that information to John as to the areas that we think need to be reconsidered.
Would that meal tax, the passage, would that affect next year's budget?
Meals tax would. As I recall, if the meals tax passes, it goes into effect, I think, in the fall, and we wouldn't actually see money probably until, if it was the 2014 budget. We'd have to enact it now to see money as soon as 2014.
But it wouldn't help the 2013 budget?
I don't think it would help the 2013 budget because it has to be collected and then it has to come and be reimbursed. There is, I know somewhere in our minutes, and I think also on, I think it's the Massachusetts, is it DOL website? There's a schedule as to if you enact it this time, you expect to see your first reimbursement payment, however many months later. So yeah, in answer to your quick question, I don't believe the revenue would show up for the 2013 budget. That's my understanding from talking to the petitioner. Good, excellent. Any other questions? No. But in order to even see it in the next fiscal budget, we would have to enact it now, otherwise the push is low. All right, well, it seems as though we've covered all of our agenda items this evening. I would...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion. All right, thank you. Let me go shut that off.
Thank you.
Good job, Cindy.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Secretary.